I am a temple who walks the earth. My womb is fertile for giving birth. I am a woman planted in truth. I grow my branches from sacred roots. You are the form of who you want to be. So come untethered, your soul is free. We're here to heal, we're here to thrive. We are a dream who's come alive. We light a candle, our hearts awake. Illumination for God's sake. A revelation for God's sake. An evolution for God's sake. An inspiration for God's sake. 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 For God's sake.
And so it is. Hello, Essence. This is Jody England, and you are listening to Wild Soul Medicine Radio. I am so happy to be here today. I feel like I have really emerged from this really 4-week or so period of intense rebirthing and evolving and just awe-inspiringness. And it's really been such a beautiful ride. And I was thinking the other day, also way more dramatic than I often roll. It's really interesting, this radio show portal for me, because in my life, I'm not super dramatic. I don't really cry a lot, and things don't get to me a lot. I really kind of stay pretty balanced. And I actually use this portal for myself to get real and get vulnerable and slow down and take a moment to really feel myself and to feel what's happening, what's alive, what's present, what's beneath the surface that I haven't actually tuned into. And so my ego wants to say that by way of just noting that, because I think sometimes there are some people who are using vulnerability as a marketing tool, as a way to get people to watch or to open or to listen. And for me, it's not that, and I also, I am a proponent of having your shit together, in a certain way, of actually not allowing drama and undoneness to rule your life, so that even in the midst of such undoing, there is a firm seatedness in the soul, in the seat of the throne of your becoming, right? And so I just wanted to name that also because, this has been fairly dramatic for me. I would say, bigger, better, more expansive than anything I've experienced to date. And also in the midst of it, I knew I was good. I knew I was okay. I knew it was for the best. I knew there was deep soul alignment happening. And so that's a beautiful space to be able to be in, where you can actually have those kinds of pieces where literally your entire reality is being upended. And at the same time, there's a sense of like, yep, that's happening and it's awesome. So today, what feels really good is actually having the interface with the world back in place. And, there's a way that, gosh, I mentioned this in my communication about the show this week, but, I did have this sense of like, I wonder if I will be able to actually speak going forward in a way that's coherent and makes sense and actually allows people who don't yet hear at this energetic level to be able to receive the medicine that's wanting to move through me. And, in a way I was fine if that didn't happen. And also it was a little disturbing. So anyway, this week I feel amazing. I feel like I have all of the capacities that I had before, but they are sharper and clearer and cleaner. And there actually is a way that it's so like a technology upgrade, right? It's like when you get the iPhone upgrade and suddenly your screen is clearer and the pictures that you're taking are more vivid and more depth filled, and everything just moves faster and quicker. That's what it feels like in my system right now. And it's very fun. It's very enlivening. And so I'm excited to get to come to you this way for a change. And I'm not attached to it. Who knows how long this will last. But I'm enjoying it. It feels really fun to be able to converse in a way that feels, just happy and light and together and beautiful. And of course, as someone who's not, I don't run my life by the stars, but I like to use them for confirmation. A friend told me yesterday, Mercury just went direct and, things are going to be getting a lot easier now. And I was like, oh, hallelujah, right? Hallelujah. I'm ready for some directness. And last week was a little disconcerting because it was this interesting sort of tail end of expansion for me, while also meeting the place of, but I do have something I want to talk to you about. And I loved our conversation. I loved how roundabout it was and how depth-filled and vibrational it was. And then I also felt like there were a couple pieces hanging from that experience, from that show that I wanted to circle back to. And so I'm going to be doing that today, and we're going to actually get to settle into, really just a direct conversation about some things that have been up and some things that are flowing through. And so let's play there. And I may take some callers later. If you're wanting to call in, it will be later, but I'll just give the number here too. The number for calling in is 937-552-2747. 937-552-2747. And if you want to chat with us during the show, you can do that at www.wsmr, as in Wild Soul Medicine Radio, wsmrchat.com. And Katie will be over there chatting with you as well. So if you have questions about anything I talk about, or if there are links that I mention and things like that, that's where you'll be able to find them during the show. And also after, they'll be there. So beautiful. Okay, so let's just take a moment and we're going to do a quick settle in. So I just invite you to go ahead and receive one deep breath in, and imagine that with that inhale, you can actually inhale all of your parts from wherever they are. And as you exhale, you come more and more right down the center of your system. Yeah, there we are. Hi. Great. So yesterday I was not feeling quite so clear, and I was kind of starting to bridge the gap from expansiveness to like, okay, I got to do some stuff in my business and I have to really do some things in the world. And so I was kind of in a funk about it, because I was loving the place where I was, and yet I knew it was time to shift. And so I was just, navigating that shift, and I went out and got one of my favorite decks of Oracle cards, which is it's a Kuan Yin deck by Alana Fairchild. And I'm loving this deck right now. And so I had to do a call for a group of women that I was about to offer something to them. And so I was asking like, okay, well, what should the theme of this event be? And as I looked into pulling the card, I noticed this whole set of doubt come forward, this doubt of like, what am I even doing here? Do cards even work? This is probably all bullshit. I'm probably just doing this, and probably everything I've ever done is, bullshit and not really magic at all. And I don't even know. Like, this could be something so stupid, and then I would just try to make something out of it, right? So there was this fast wave of doubt. So I choose the card, and I start to read the card, and it's funny because, of course, the card is for us today as well, right? The card says, sometimes you may question whether you are in contact with genuine spiritual guidance or engaging in wishful thinking. Genuine guidance is simple, clear, and repetitive. When you ask for confirmation, it will come. Right? And then it goes on and on. But I thought it was hilarious that I'm literally picking a card with doubt about picking a card. And the card I pick is about picking a card, right? And all other forms of guidance. And it couldn't have been more simple and direct in its wisdom. And so I also love to do this thing where I call it the iPod shuffle, right? So I ask a question of the universe. So it's usually when I'm feeling like some malaise or some question mark, or I want to be loved in a certain way. And so I put an intention out to the universe, or I ask a question, and then I say, speak to me. And then I hit shuffle on my song list, and it starts to bring forward these songs. And it's wild because I have, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 songs. And like, it'll pull forward songs that I didn't even know I had in my playlist, and they are always dead on. So I was doing that while I was preparing for this call and pulling the cards and whatnot. So the first song that comes on is by Bare Naked Ladies, 1 week. The words are at the beginning. It's been 1 week since you looked at me, cocked your head to the side and said, I'm angry. This is my journey 1 week ago. Like 1 week ago, that's exactly what was happening. And it was like I was cracking up because it was the universe playing with me. It was my guides having fun. The song after that was, what was the song after that? It was So You Had a Bad Day, which I haven't heard in, 2 years. I'm literally laughing, giggling, rolling on the floor with laughter. And then what was the theme of my journey last week, but like landing and being here and the earth and whatever. Next song that plays is Welcome to the Jungle. I mean, so funny. So again, like for me, that's super clear guidance. And it's just what I needed to actually move into a sense of like, I am so seen and held. I don't have to leave that realm of being so connected and expansive. It's both and. Of course it's right here, and my guides are right here holding me and loving me. And if you're listening to this show, your guides are loving you through me. They're working with you through me. This is a very simple, clear, direct voice speaking to you about whatever it is your soul needs to hear. And I don't say that in a grandiose way. I say that really just as truth. And so I'm glad that you're here listening, and I'm glad that we don't have to take ourselves so seriously. And what a beautiful gift that we're being given all the time with these signs and signals. Sometimes we're not exactly in the place to receive them, or our ego or our emotions or the busyness of our lives get in the way of us really listening or making sense of it. And so sometimes we need a translator. Sometimes we need to listen again and again and again to be like, oh my gosh, now I get it. Now I hear the message that was being told to me 5 times previously, So we're straight talking today. We're not talking in code. We're not talking, well, I always talk in energetics, but we're just talking in plain, simple English, or as close as I get to that, about where we are and what's happening and what's next. And I think it's some good medicine for us. So the first thing I want to say is an ode to undoneness. As you know, I'm a proponent of Woman Come Undone. And, that's a beautiful series we did last year. We're going to be doing it again soon in the next few months. And overall, right, it's important for us, if we're going to be in essence, to be able to stand in the uncertainty, to stand in the I don't know-ness, right? To let our entire lives be unseated in any moment. And so we do that. And I would say, it's kind of like going to the gym where you might have to do, 150 squats one day, which is going to hurt like heck the next day. And you wouldn't want to do that every day. But there's a reason to do it sometimes or a lot of times so that it increases your capacity for being able to build those muscles, And so the same with undoneness. We practice those muscles here. We practice them to a great extent because they're very atrophied in the human experience, because our ego is so wrapped around trying to find something to wrap its arms around, right? And so we have to really expand those muscles of undoneness, of unseating our ego, of laying ourselves down time and time and time again in the I don't know-ness. And then sometimes we have to sit up and get our bearings about us and weave ourselves back together and say, I do actually know something. I know a little something right now. And here's what I know. And here's what inspired action is being called forth from me, right? It's allowing our genius to come to bear so that we don't use our undoneness as a way to hide out from that which is ours to do, right? And it's tricky. It is tricky, this dance, because we never know when we're doing which thing or if we've done one thing too much. And so that's why we stay in the inquiry. And to me, it's kind of like riding a wave. If you're a surfer, you're riding a wave and you're like waiting for the right wave. And largely, there's a whole lot of floating and then there's a little paddling. And then every once in a while you catch the crest and you're like, okay, I'm riding this. I'm hanging 10 on this particular one, right? Which is how I feel today, is like I'm on the crest of the wave showing my mad skills, right? And it's a moment. It's a moment of beauty and it's so fun. And so it's a both and. So I want to just say that we don't want to become attached to our undoneness, because that, of course, would then be the shadow, is that we use our undoneness to not actually do a thing, but we allow ourselves to be exactly what we are, which is both done and undone in every moment. And we get better and better at that. So eventually we won't need long periods of laying down on the mat in the question. We'll be able to simultaneously be doing and undoing ourselves within our work, within our parenting, within our partnerships, within our living. We're living and dying simultaneously in every moment. That is riding the crest of the wave, right? It's like there's not even a concept that you're doing either. There's just isness. Yeah. So really, in this phase, what we're being called forth is Mercury has just gone direct. It's been in retrograde for a good while. It just went direct. And so are we. And so am I. So this is the time. It's all systems go. It's let's take these pieces that are kind of flapping in the wind and bring them together in a braiding of sorts that actually forms a tight structure around the center of us, so that we're actually inwardly supporting all of this expansion that we've just received. And it is a both and, sisters. It's not about actually diminishing any parts of the expansion. It's not like putting it away in a box or dimming it so that we can live our lives or do the things we used to do. It's we allow ourselves to actually wrap around, here's what I know, and here's what I do. And just like me, I'm going through similar emotions that I've been going through for the last year and a half. And there's just a way that now there's a difference to them. There's an upgrade already happening. And so we won't know what that is necessarily as we start to do it, but we just allow ourselves to come back into some semblance of order. And from that space, we can see what's different. It literally is like the reboot. Like after the upgrade, you're like, oh, wow, interesting. My iTunes looks completely different now. Let me see how that works, right? And sometimes there's a little disconnect of like, well, I liked how it worked before because I knew where the buttons were and I could do my song shuffle without searching, And then sometimes it's like, oh, wait, when I took a minute to figure it out, actually, this is a way better system. It is infinitely easier and it has more visuals and it's really cool to use. So it just takes a minute to sort of let your system get adjusted, So, so as we drop back into this space of, finding our directness, I want to come back and just visit, there was one thread that occurred near the end of the show last week. It was right near the end, and you may have picked up on it energetically, where so I had been talking about the soul and like us having the soulgasm, and we're meeting in the like expansiveness. And then I talked about soulful money medicine, and I liked all the things that were coming through about that. And then there was like the end, right? The end was something like, I don't need you to do anything, right? And then I kind of paused, and I was trying to work with it in the moment, and I was feeling into like, well, do I need something? I don't think I need something, but I want something, but oh, that wouldn't be clear if I wanted it. And so it's a little choppy. You can go back and listen, or if you haven't listened to that episode yet, listen to let's see, I forget what last week was called, but anyways, the one before this one. And so I fell into that afterward, and I talked with Amrita about it, and we were both like, yeah, there was something about that, that wasn't totally right on. It was a little bit like I laid the bridge of soulful money medicine, and then I kind of picked it back up at the end, And so it was like I opened the portal, and then I left a chasm between the soul and the action, And this is also what it's like to just do new paradigm marketing, and also what it's like to live a life in essence, right? So sometimes it's like a beautiful essence dance, and then burp, abrupt stop. Like, oh shoot, I didn't know quite how to bridge that particular gap, So I really played with it all week, and I had some awarenesses. Like one awareness was around this shadow of new paradigm offering of a product, a service, a portal. This is for all of you people who do this, right? The new paradigm is like, what if we could not actually have to get someone to do something? So I was having this whole awareness the other day. I'm just going to share the whole gig. So I was having this awareness the other day about how feminine marketing is a lot like oming. So if you haven't heard, there's this practice called orgasmic meditation. And at some point I will have Nicole Dayton, who's the founder of One Taste. We're going to talk about all of this, but suffice it to say, it's a process where someone strokes a tiny little part on the clitoris of a woman, and it creates this experience that is really indescribable, but it actually, it's the tiniest, smallest movement, and it literally connects you with universal amazingness. And what, in my experience in practicing this way, it's completely the opposite of like friction sex, right? So hang with me here. This is important. So friction sex is more like, it's about like a hard motion and, getting and doing and accomplishing and striving and like having an actual orgasm. Whereas orgasmic meditation is an experience of opening. And sometimes there isn't an orgasm at all. And that doesn't diminish the experience at all. In fact, sometimes having an orgasm actually diminishes the experience because it's so good without the orgasm, right? The orgasm sort of ends it. And so, so I was having this epiphany the other morning about marketing, and that in the new paradigm, what we're really shifting is the entire gig is built on really this whole masculine sexuality archetype, where there are marketing funnels, right? A yoni is a funnel. There's a marketing funnel, and it's about engaging and getting and penetrating the market, right? Like everything about it, it's competition, it's conquest, it's conquering. And I think that's why largely the jig is up on it for us women, especially us conscious women, because it's like, well, who are we being in that relationship then? And what are we, like, even as women, we don't really want to be loved like that anymore, and most of the time, like as we're learning these new ways of possibility, it's like, oh my gosh, when I am owned, what happens is my system first your system has to learn it's a whole new language, right? And then your system starts to learn about opening and opening and opening. And actually, with this, like almost like the easier and slower the stroke, the more you come forward into it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what we want, women. This is what we want in our interactions with portals and launches and offerings, right? What if we could be touched in these really gentle ways where we're seen and known at the deepest levels? And so that when there is an ask, when there is a bridge laid, we are already reaching for the bridge as it's being laid because we're that open and that engaged already, right? So this is just some free, wisdom for those of you who are trying to do this in a different way. We're beginning to experiment with it, and it's hot off the presses. So I'm not saving it for myself. I'm putting it out to everyone because I want to be spoken to this way, right? I want to move out of these conversations where I'm being hammered and hammered and hammered by the same email list for 25 asks of the same thing. I don't need, even in the groups that I'm in, like my Facebook groups, where I'm a participant, I don't need 25 posts a week, showing me all the things that you could possibly ask me to. I'm tired. I'm busy. I'm engaged other places. But a qualitative stroke in a certain direction, a meaningful engagement where I am seen and known, that actually pulls me forward, right? And so the tricky thing is that as we're shifting paradigm, the same thing happens with orgasmic meditation. Is like initially, if you're really used to orgasming through friction, initially when you're getting stroked really easily, it's like, I don't know, can I feel anything? Or you might still be attached to the outcome, like, am I going anywhere with this? And it's the same with marketing. Like what I really want to create, this new thing that I'm building here, is I want to train the conversation that we are having together such that that when I offer something, it's important. And that I don't have to come to you with 5 asks, that you're not actually waiting for me to say the doors are closing and you must purchase now in order for you to take an action on your own behalf, right? Because that's Pavlov's dog. That's, hey, when the bell is dinged, you're going to start to salivate and then you're going to go for the treat. And we have to start stepping out of that. That is what keeps us enslaved to the system, right? Of like, they're going to tell me when I actually need to take an action, and then I'm going to actually use that as a reason to take an action. And it makes me sad. It makes me sad that we have let ourselves become trained that way. And so, and there's not a judgment in that. Like really, there's not. I'm trained as much as you are. Like that's how I've always bought things. That's, it's because there's so much coming at us. It's like friction sex, like there's a way that you start to just get turned on near the end after a certain number of repetitions. And then boom, there's the thing. You accomplish the goal. Now you move on. Right. And there is a whole other possibility of ways that we can actually be in conversation just directly, right? Just directly of, I see you and I love you and here's what I'm experiencing with you. And are you here with me? Yeah, you're here with me. And so let's do this thing. Let's do this thing together, right? So this is what we're playing with here at Untamed You, is literally with every step we take, with every team member we're bringing on, with every way that we're interacting, is searching for how can we do this in a way that is aligned with purpose in every single step. And I'll just tell you up front, we will not get it perfect. There are growing pains, there are training, there's even understanding what the heck it is we're doing and why something is true or authentic, and then why something just slightly different is not that, And I'm up for the challenge. I'm really up for this because I am dying for a more intelligent conversation in every aspect of my life. Every email that comes in my box, every engagement I have with my sisters, if I'm going to be talking to you in the tribe, I want us to be in an actual conversation. I don't want to play with we're pretending like it's a conversation, but it's really just a portal for me to offer my thing as soon as I can offer it, right? If I've given enough conversation, then I can offer the thing. These are all the ways we've done this, we as a collective. This is all the stuff we've bought into. And so it takes a couple things to change this. It takes the people offering it to start being direct and transparent and looking for new ways to actually engage and make sure that there is a two-way street where an exchange is possible. And it also requires us as an audience, right? So you are my audience here and I am the audience everywhere else, right? It requires us as an audience to start to sit more in the driver's seat of what is coming at us, right? So that we can learn to respond from a place of empowerment rather than, the reason that the news is filled with scary headlines is because that's still what people listen to. That's what makes them turn it on. That's what has them listen. Even with Soulful Money or with Wild Soul Medicine Radio, I tend to like to really do like kind of cryptic and evocative sort of headlines, for the shows. But repeatedly, the headlines that get the most listens are the ones where I put a little fear in them, right? So How to Get Clients, one of the best listened to shows ever. Should I Stay or Should I Go? Also one of the best listened to episodes ever. Things like translation and clarity in the mist, and the more flowery, flowy, they just don't bring us forward in the same way. And that's because our brains have really been trained to operate from a space of fear motivation, right? So pain or pleasure. Pleasure is a whole new octave for our human systems. We have been evolving for so long from a space of survival that survival, tapping into our survival instinct, still moves us, right? Far and away, like 97%, that's what moves us. 3% of us are tuned into pleasure, but not on every level, just a little bit. And so, there was part of me that was like, okay, once I realized that, I'm only going to do pleasure marketing. And some of, my conscious sisters have said the same thing. Like, I'm just not doing that fear-based marketing. And then what they find is they don't actually get any clients, and it's super compelling and interesting to watch. Well, then how do we unfold this? How do we support people who are doing non-fear-based marketing? And how do we step out of our own patterning that has us only take action when we're being threatened with some kind of scarcity, be it time or money or something else? It's an interesting inquiry. And so what happened at the end of the show last week was I was going through that internal dialogue of like, do I need anything from you? And part of the shadow of that was a feeling of most people who are selling need you to buy it, right? They need you on some level. And so that's what the ask is really about. And so I was like, well, if I need you to buy it, then I'm really buying into that old paradigm. And so then you would be coming because I'm holding the power for you rather than you holding the power for you. So I literally threw your power back in your lap, but simultaneously cut off part of the bridge because there was a need in me to not be needed. It is a cluster of a mindfuck, right? This whole unraveling, it's intense. So when I realized that, I got curious, like, well, what? So what is the clear thing there? Do I need you or not need you to do something? And I had a beautiful awareness around that, the distinction between needs and desires, right? So I've been in this conversation with a couple friends of mine with this idea that, as we continue to evolve and find our missing pieces, we have fewer and fewer actual needs. So it was true what I was saying. It was true that I actually don't need it. And the caveat is I do desire it deeply. Right? You feel the difference? This is oming. Like sometimes in friction sex, there's I need an orgasm, right? I need somebody to do this thing for me, or I need to do this thing for myself, or I need a release, whatever, right? And then in oming, it's more of a building of desire, right? It's like desire, desire, desire. And so there's an infinite number of desires that an evolved woman will find herself engaging in, right? So I desire more intelligent conversations. I desire us to begin evolving out of fear-based actions on all levels. I desire you to have an energetic exchange with life that reflects the immensity of who you are. I desire us to be able to play together in infinite ways, such that if I have an inspired calling to say, come have a ceremony with me this weekend, it's a no-brainer. You have the same desire, you're on a plane. There is no like, who will I ask for money? And, can I, rub some pennies together? Because if I don't, then I'm probably not going to be complete. I desire to be done with those conversations, right? And so what that requires is that we begin to train ourselves up in these really potent ways of tending, right? Tending our basic needs. While you have your parts, while the parts of your soul are in different places, are in your wounding, are in their fragments, you will feel like you have a lot more needs, because what you're actually needing is you, right? You're needing those pieces of yourself that are scattered, across the dimensions. And once you begin to heal those and shaman yourself back together, what begins to happen is you become free. You become free of the enslavement of need, and you become engaged in the pleasure of desire. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing where you can do things just because you want to, right? But just desire that. It feels fun. Feels interesting. I'm a yes. Right? This is the freedom. It's about not being less than you are. No compromises. No compromises necessary. No stories needed to justify why you're not going to take the class that you know would actually serve you, or why you're going to wait till a, quote, better time. We don't need any of that bullshit in front of us anymore. We can actually be moved by truth when it presents itself. We can get that vibrational gem from the person we're meant to walk with or play with or travel with, and be like, oh yeah, you. You and me now. Yes. Right? And there was this funny place actually. So one of the pieces we've been playing with is expanding the listenership of the radio show. And so one of the ways we did that is we applied to iHeartRadio, which is they're connected with Spreaker, which is where we host the platform. So we applied there, and we'd been waiting to hear if they would, quote, accept us, right? And we got the information yesterday that we got rejected, literally rejected, as I actually come in to open my portal each week. Now there's a little thing with an iHeartRadio icon, and under it says rejected. It's so funny, right? In the past, that would have been a giant deal for me, to see every week that I'm rejected. And I was just so giggling about it today. The reason they rejected us is because our radio show has more than 30 seconds of music, right? And that's our intro and our outro. And so they said, if you want to cut down the music, then we'll take another look. And so Amrita and I dropped into to feel into it. And I said, here's the thing. Many, many emails I have received from women who listen with their daughters, and they sing and dance to the Untamed anthem every single week. I can't imagine offering less of that. And Amrita said, I can't either. It's a pass, right? It's a pass. Not a big deal. Not even a big deal. In the past, I would have needed subscribers, and so I would have been willing to sell myself out in order to have this bridge to this thing that would maybe be, they have 60 million listeners. Maybe it's a good bridge. I don't know. And now I desire to have the whole intro and outro because I love that song. And you love that song, right? So let's do what we're doing. I'm not compromised. There's nothing less in me anywhere around that. That's what it feels like to be whole and complete. There's not to say we won't grow the radio show. We'll just grow it another way. There are infinite options for what that might look like. Same with Facebook. We ran an ad last night that Amrita had transcribed some of the things I said from one of the shows, and I actually I had said fuck, and so she had put F with the little dashes, and then Facebook rejected our ad last night because of whatever they call it, foul language or something. And I sent Amrita a message this morning and said, fucking Facebook, right? Because here's the thing. Here's why I like cuss words. Because they are very direct, right? Sometimes they actually go right to the heart of a matter. There's an energetic signature of cuss words that actually cuts through the bull right to the vibration of the thing, So I'm a fan of it, and I'm not going to compromise myself, and I wouldn't change my platform if I wasn't allowed, if I wasn't allowed to cuss on this platform, I would change platforms, right? Because there's no way that I'm going to change who I am. It's about becoming more of who I am with no apologies, right? This is, I was just feeling, is becoming more of who I am a need or a desire? That's actually a need. For me, that's a need. It is a prime directive. It is I can't not be in integrity, and I can't not be my whole soul. So that is a need. And pretty much everything outside of that is a desire for me, So along these lines of directness, this is why I only engage in soul level conversations, because the soul is also the most fundamental place where we can have an interaction. And so if you're going to have a money conversation, a traditional money conversation where it's of the mind and it's about, do some affirmations or say some things or do these cutesy little exercises and see if you can generate some money, that's not actually the most direct way to really fix your money situation, because actually fixing your money situation is not even the thing, right? The soul is the thing, and the money is a reflection of that. That's why we are doing soulful money medicine, because it is the most direct route, not only to the money, right? It's like we pick money up along the side of the road on the way to the direct conversation about the thing that really matters, which is our soul. You can't get more direct than that. Yep. So I'm excited actually to lay this bridge out today in a really direct way and say to you this soul fire delivered, channeled information about how to use money as a portal to begin to heal your soul. I offered a few months ago. I said that I would offer the recordings. The recordings are now available. I can't be more direct than that. The bridge is here, and I desire for you to join me in this conversation, because it's not about the money, and it's not about the money. This is a place for us to meet. This is our window in. And there was a beautiful woman in the tribe who asked a great question. And the question was, I've so loved these last few weeks of download from you, like on the soul cell level, I'm getting it, And so I wonder about soulful money medicine, given that you did it before all of this download. Is it of the same upgrade, right? And so I first of all, thank you for being in the conversation and being willing to ask that question. And also, my heart gets really happy that you're getting the downloads as well, which is not a judgment if you're not getting the downloads as well. And the answer to the question is this, that soulful money medicine is level 10.7, even for me. Right? It was not delivered from my brain or from my own current existence. It was a transmission that is for all of us. And so So it already is at the level that you're going to, and the downloads and the cellular reprogramming that we've just been going through will help you to receive the depth of what is there, right? So, and for those of you who are still like, what are we talking about? And like, can I just get some help with my money? That is there too. It's direct. It's easy. You're going to understand it. It's going to be different than any money conversation you've ever experienced. And for the exchange, it's $500 for the exchange, and you're going to have a year worth of content there. You're going to come back to that thing again and again and again. You could revisit that every time you do your next level of launch or interfacing with the world. That conversation is worth a re-listen every single time, right? So even if you have money, it's going to up-level you to the next piece of soul alignment. It's not about the money. It's what does your soul have to be, where does your soul have to be in order to hold whatever is calling next? Where do you think you're interfacing with the world, but you're not actually? These are the things we play with in this experience. And the portal's only open for one more week. Open in the way that I'm actually holding it, that I'm standing there at the bridge, greeting your entrance. I'm also offering 2 additional live calls during this second round, if you will. There are nearly 100 sisters who are already in the portal, who've been engaged with the information and are staying in to do it again with all of you. There's going to be a live question and answer session, so you're going to get access to me. We will have coaches in and around the Facebook group for Soulful Money Medicine, so you're going to get some touches and some interactions. And that way, I mean, it's really like it's sort of a crazy amount of information for the exchange that it is. And I also get that we need to start where we are, So it is that. It's just one of those things. It's like, is it too good to be true? Yep, it is. And with repetition and with direct talking, here it is in front of you again. It's like the card that I pulled yesterday, right? Maybe this is all bullshit. Maybe it seems like, this is a new paradigm marketing conversation that's about soul, but maybe it's a jip, right? And then here's the card. Here's the oracle being drawn saying, you are seen and loved and held. And what if help just arrived? Exactly the kind you've been calling in. What if there were no hidden outs? What if it wasn't a less than? What if I can simultaneously hand you back your power and guide you in shamaning your own soul? It's all of that. It's all of that. And so much more. So, is there anything else I want to say? Oh, yeah. Yeah. So if you're still sitting there thinking like, I don't know, it may not be for me. I really just want to drop in with you for a moment, because when I look at so we typically have 1,000 people or so at this point who listen to the show every week. And I was looking to see what percentage of the women here is this really for? Because I really, I hate to waste your time with talking about something that's not for you, and it's 70% at least, 77% is what it looks like of 1,000 women ought to be in this conversation. This is the next piece on your journey. So if you're listening and you're already discounting it, just take a pause, take a pause for yourself and get curious about what that is. Get curious about what's happening with your needs and desires. So it's not actually about what mine are for you. All right. I'm clarifying them because I want you to see what that process looks like within a person. But I'm not clarifying them so that my desire trumps yours. I'm inviting you in for you to feel into yourself, right? In this moment, as you drop into what if this invitation actually is exactly what I said it is, right? It's actually in alignment with your next step of growth. It really will heal you at the soul level. It really will begin to transform your relationship with not only money, but every other thing you're engaged in your life? What if all of that is true? Notice what's happening in your system, right? Notice if it's you rolling up the bridge like I did last week at the end. What if it's you saying, well, I really can't even believe that it would be, or if it is, I don't even know how to accept it. I don't know how to say yes to something that's so in alignment for me. I'm used to saying yes to things that aren't in alignment. I'm used to negating myself on every level. Where would I begin with such a thing, right? Yeah, I get curious. I get curious about that. What kind of safety might you add to your system? What kind of safety? What if you could add some safety right now? Why wait? Why wait for the next time I ask? Why wait for the next sign from the universe that this is the thing? Why participate in the enslavement culture created around needing to have 25 asks before you take an action, right? Yeah. And I could speak to you that way. I could do it in this moment. I could say, do this course or you will regret it forever. Your path is going to be slow. Your money situation is going to be pathetic, right? Like I could say all of that, but that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good in my system. I don't want to diminish you that way. I really don't. Yeah. And is there something between need and desire for you, right? Is there a starting point? Is there a way to say, maybe it's even through sheer willpower at this point, given your current operating system, that you say, I'm getting out my hammer and nails. I'm putting down a piling. I'm starting to build. I'm filling in this bridge, right? I'm filling in this chasm between me and where I am, and this place where I know I belong. Right? It's not even about a need or desire. It's just like, this is who you are, beloved. If you're listening, there's not a coincidence that you're listening to this show today when I'm speaking so directly to you. I don't know what else you'd be waiting for. Short of me showing up in your yard and putting up a neon sign, says this step here right now. Even then, some of your systems are like, nope, not even then. And I adore you in that. Like, I don't have a judgment about it. I totally get it. And I know you. I see who you really are. And I want more for you. And our agreement was before we came that when you forgot who you were, when you slipped into passivity, when you forgot how to take action on your own behalf, that I would show up and breathe some life into your tired soul and say, this way, beloved, this is where we come together. Yep. And so it's not about the money, and it's not about the money. The exchange is $497. You can make it in 2 payments. And, and I also get curious because for some of you, we talked way back when I offered it initially about creating some kind of a soulful money medicine jar. So if you don't have $250, you just start putting in $10 a week or $20 a week. And, what I really get is largely that would be an excuse, right? If an emergency came up and you needed $500 to do something that you really thought was important, you would come up with it. And so I just say that by way of pointing you toward, don't cheapen your needs and desires. Don't lessen the importance of the wholeness of your soul by creating excuses and outs. Right? This is a big, big deal. You will never be more supported by the universe than you are right now. That's for sure. our guides and spirits are literally still standing right at the veil saying, it's kind of like watching their toddlers begin to walk or ride a bike the first time. So they're like, okay, go ahead. You've got this. Put your feet on the pedals and start going. You know, they're just tending us with so much care and love. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah. So to cross the bridge into soulful money medicine, it's www.soulfulmoneymedicine.com. Each step of the way is an activation in and of itself. So if you go to the page and you listen to some of the transmissions, and that's all you can metabolize right now, beautiful, right? If just getting to the page is the thing, allow that to be the thing. And then come back and revisit. Can you put some more boards down on the bridge in front of you? The other thing that I'm being called to do in this moment is I want to actually... let me just see why I'm saying this. I want to actually take away one last excuse that your ego mind will have, right? Like, what if it's a lot of talk and then it's not actually something, you know? Because you think I give a lot of transmissions here on the radio show. It's like, well, I don't know. I'm getting this all for free. What could I get when I pay for it? And so I want to give you that. So here's what I'm doing. I am going to post in the tribe right after the show. We'll do this. I'm going to open the first class of Soulful Money Medicine. I'm going to open it to people in the tribe. The tribe is free. So if you're not in the tribe, it's wildsoultribe.com. wildsoultribe.com. So you'll need to be in there to get it. I'm going to just leave it in there for like maybe 48 hours, right? Because it's not about, I don't want to leak energy from the container. And if you're not going to take action, you're not going to take action. And that's totally cool. And I'm just going to give you the first class. And the first class is taking your power back from money, right? So I want you to just feel the energetic of what that experience could be for you. And then you can decide if you want to exchange for the rest of it. Yeah, that'll be fun. That feels really fun. Okay, sweet. So let me see. Is there any last thing I have for you? Okay, so I have a last story for you. So my daughter is 11, and she's right at that age where she's moving out of childhood and not quite in her adolescence. And so she alternates between sweet and innocent and knowing her power and also like teenage angst, like I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm up to. And she's also a budding gymnast. And so we have a trampoline and she's been really good at teaching herself things like she can do a front handspring and she can do a front flip with no hands. And she's done all of that on her own. But going backward, right, flipping backward where she can't see where she's going to land is infinitely harder for her, which is the opposite of most people, right? And so she's been working and working and working on her back handspring. And so for a really long time, my husband and I would both have to spot her, even though she has the skill set and her body knows what to do, but her mind, right? It's her mind that is like, I don't know. And even when we would have the conversation about maybe one spotter and then like, no, she'll tank it every time. So it came a day. So she had gotten down to just one spotter and so she was begging again, like, would my husband and I go out and spotter and spotter and spotter? And we didn't really want to. And also we can see that she has it, right? She has this. And so we were faced with like what to do. And so we gave her some tough love. We said, you've got this. Your body knows what to do. Your mind knows what to do. At some point, you're going to have to take the leap. And we trust you. We would never say to do it without a spotter if we didn't know you could do it without a spotter. And so she went outside. And she got a few spots from my ever patient and loving husband, less and less and less. And then about a half hour later, she came in and said, come watch me. And she flipped and she flipped and she flipped. all by her little self. And she is you, sister. She is you. All of the head games you play with yourself, all the ways you second guess, all the ways that you're trying to look for spotters and support and confirmation and confidence. At some point, you just have to pull the trigger. And I would never ask you to do it if I didn't know you could. And so with that, beloved, I am here waiting to receive you with open arms just on the other side of that bridge. Make a way. I'll meet you there.
We light a candle, our hearts awake. Illumination, for God's sake. A revelation, for God's sake. An inspiration, for God's sake. Illumination, for God's sake. For God's sake. For God's sake.